So the big question we want to answer is this: how a hard-working individual who always followed the rules and who knows there is more to life than working 9 to 5 for 40 years to retire, how do you fast track to a lifestyle of wealth and freedom using property? That's the big question, and I'm here to give you the answers. My name is George Lombana, and I'm a professional property investor and entrepreneur.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Property Strategies UK Property Secrets podcast with George Lombana and Noel Cardona here. George, how are you doing today?
I'm very well indeed. Very well indeed. Thank you so much for having me here. How are you?
Very well. Thank you very much. I know you're being quite busy investing in property in Liverpool and running around with the different properties, isn't it? It's quite busy over there at the moment.
Yes, it's absolutely buzzing. I mean, the market, it's incredible. Everything is just literally going so fast. When you're trying to make offers, the properties are literally going off the shelf like buying hotcakes. So you need to be really quick and really active to find good deals and try to close them quickly. So it's very, very, very buzzing at the moment.
So before we actually go into the main subject, which is how to add value when you create, how to create value when you buy property. Do you see any sort of price crashes coming when the furlough scheme ends? What is your view on that at the moment?
Well, to be honest, the property value are still going up in the markets that we're looking to buy. So up north in the northwest of England, like Manchester, Liverpool, particularly, the property prices are skyrocketing. And it's not just for the furlough scheme or not just for the tax breaks at the moment, the stamp duty breaks. It's just because it has been like that for the last 4 to 5 years. Literally every single property. When I was starting buying back in 2017, I used to buy properties for around 30, 40 grand. That is literally non-existent in today's market. Most of the properties have double or sometimes triple in value. So the properties I used to buy for 30, 40 grand in today's market, they're around 110, 120. So you can see a significant increase in value in those properties. So I don't see anything slowing down for the next year or two in these particular markets.
That's really, really good because there's a lot of uncertainty at the moment. But what we see on the street, what we see on the trenches is just there's not enough properties out there to buy. It feels like that. But that's something else we can talk at a different time. So let's dive right into the main subject for today, which is how to create value when you buy property. So I know this is one of your favorite strategies, if not something that you aim to do every single time you buy property. So what's the best way, or what's your best advice for people who are buying property and want to create wealth using this sort of strategy?
Right. So one of my favorite strategies will be HMOs. HMOs is incredibly popular these days. And HMOs are it's an incredible strategy just to add value to our property. Because most of the properties, for those people who are just starting in property, or for those people who already are in the game, and you perhaps own a couple of properties or buy to let, but you haven't done a HMO quite yet, it's a fantastic way to increase the value of the property and get a commercial valuation. So basically how it works, it will be normally banks and surveyors will value the property on brick and mortar. So basically, your house is for £100,000 based on the market of because the house next door or the house down the road sold 2 months ago for £95,000 or £105,000. So based on the comparison between different properties that have sold in the area, then your valuation will come up. And it will obviously depend on the condition of the property itself. So that is brick and mortar. That is the valuation, the standard valuation that any surveyor and any bank will lend on a property. However, when you change the use of just a normal buy-to-let to a HMO, then the property is valued in a commercial basis. So obviously they take into account the brick and mortar. So same again, how big is the property, how many rooms are in the property, and what is the value of the property, of the properties in the nearby, in the area. But then they will take into account the revenue of the property. So if you have 6 rooms, all let on a weekly basis and a monthly basis, so the revenue per year it's X amount. Normally it takes 6 to 7 times the value of this revenue, and then they merge it together with the brick and mortar, and then they will give you a commercial valuation for this property, and that will increase the value significantly. And that is the way to maximize the value in a property. That is one strategy. My other favorite strategy is to split the property in titles and to get leases and divide the property into flats, which is another thing that I'm currently doing at the moment. And I recently bought a property at auction. It's it's a massive property. I've done similar properties in the past in that particular road, so I was very familiar to what I was buying, and I knew the potential that property had. And the property had already been converted into two flats. Now I saw a lot more potential to add more bedrooms and to get more flats out of these, and just to create the whole thing and potentially make 3, possibly 4 flats out of this property. And then what you could do is split the titles of these properties and split the leases. So you, as the owner of the freehold, then you can have rental income from the leases of each individual flat, the ground rent every year. You can also set up and give the leases for 100 years, 110 years, which means in 20-25 years, the premium will have to be paid to you for every single flat that you will be selling. That means that for the 3 or 4 flats that you get in, you basically get in £100,000 in 20 years' time. So it's basically just a long-term investment that you'll be getting by just doing that. And also will give you the facility to perhaps sell 1 or 2 flats, and then you can keep for residential income. And so there's a number of different things that you can do when you do this, splitting titles, and you would add value to the property itself because you own the leases of all of the flats, you own the freehold of the whole building, and you also getting rents from the flats itself. So you're merging 3 strategies. You're merging passive income, you're increasing the value of the properties, and you're getting leases from the properties as well if you decide to sell them on. So it's a very well-known strategy out there with property investors, and I think it works really well if you plan to do bigger things in the future.
Wow, that's a lot of advice, a lot of information right there. So in terms of creating value, what sort of numbers have you seen in the past in terms of what you can achieve, or what you've seen doing other investors who work with you in terms of creating this sort of value? What sort of the range that they should expect?
So, well, now everything is marketed towards like service accommodation and Booking.com and Airbnb. So obviously over the past year, so that has been suspended. But things as the pandemic is getting over, and the path toward lockdown is getting over as well, things are starting to reactivate, and I can see already in the market people starting to advertise properties back in Booking.com and Airbnb. That will give you a very good idea of what the demand is at the moment. And the finishes of these properties, the interior design of these properties is a little bit different. It's a little bit more luxurious, a little bit more welcoming to the eye. So this is something that I would like to pass on to the new investors, is to try to decorate the properties not just with the standard plain white paint, but to add some color to the properties, create a little bit of environment, create a little bit of a warming lighting as well. Lighting is very, very important, not just by just putting a bulb, but more like putting the spotlights, putting like shadows in the room, putting some lamps already fitted to the walls. So it takes a little bit of thinking before you actually execute the job. But this, in the end, will basically give the environment and will give the place the look that you want to achieve. Not just for you to sell it on if you want to sell it on, but also in the rental market will make it more appealing. How will rent a lot quicker. That if you just paint everything in white and put just a sofa and 4 chairs and just make it look nice and plain. So there's a few examples. If you can just Google examples of service accommodation, and it will give you the type of decoration that there is in these type of properties, and then you can get an idea of what I'm talking about here. But it's just adding a little bit of color, a little bit of warmth to the property, and that will be reflected also in the amount of rent that you're going to get from the property itself.
Right. So when you buy a property, for example, George, at the moment, which is, I don't know, £90,000, and you create a HMO out of it, what sort of value increase are you seeing in the market?
Well, it really depends on the property itself. HMO, you can easily increase it by 50, 60, 70,000 pounds. Sometimes the property is very well done. You can get up to 100,000. So to be honest, there's no limit. I've seen HMOs that could be up to 12, 15 bedrooms, and they've done huge extensions as well. So obviously that will add a lot of value to the property. So it really comes down to the property itself. But as I say, you can easily add, let's say, 50 to 60% increase on the property value once you have achieved the HMO. You have applied for the HMO license, and that has been granted, because that will give you the backup and the foundations for you to rent the property. And also, if you're compliant with everything, with fire alarms and everything, that will be obviously an added value to the property itself, because every single thing that HMO requires, it does cost a lot of money. So just changing the frames of the doors, changing all the alarms, changing the lighting, adding all the things will definitely add value to the property. And as I said, it is value as a commercial basis rather than residential. And that shift between residential and commercial is when you make the money.
Oh, yeah, that's I think, yeah, I agree with that. Is the kind of numbers I'm seeing myself in this sort of investments as well. So that's really good. So there you have it. That's how you can create value when you buy property. And there are many ways of doing this. As George says, there are ways to do it at small scale. There are other strategies that work best at doing a large scale, like George is doing at the moment. There is a property. You have a property, isn't it? The one in Everton Road, which is a massive one, and it would lend very well to the splitting. I'm not sure if you're going to do it, actually, splitting titles in that big property, but that's a very good example of what can be achieved, correct?
Absolutely. In that particular property, we're not planning to split titles.
Okay.
We're just going to control the whole building, the whole freehold. But from 10 rooms that the property currently have, we're going to convert it into 11 flats. So we're just going to open up, do the basement. The basement, we can get 2 flats from the basement alone, two bedroom flats. And then the other ones will be a mixture between 2 bedrooms, 1 bedroom, and a studio flats. So in total, we're going to convert the whole building into 11 self-contained flats. That will basically add the value that we're looking to get. And we're potentially looking to make around anything between £300,000 to £400,000 by doing all this conversion. So this is just the big numbers where you can maximize the value and you start developing, which is obviously the top of the pyramid. When you start developing, and that's where the big numbers are. But if you are starting up and you're starting to buy your first buy-to-let, you're starting to do your first HMO, the best way to add value is just adding rooms and bathrooms. And as I said, change kitchens, floorings, and all that. But the main thing is kitchens and bathrooms and rooms. Once you can add an extra bathroom, that will increase the value of the property. Even if you buy a 2-bedroom flat, by just adding another bedroom, it's a huge difference in price between a 2-bedroom flat and a 3-bedroom flat. And it's a complete different price if you get a 2-bedroom flat with 1 bathroom, than if you get 3-bedroom flat with 1 ensuite and 1 separate bathroom. So all this is what you need to start thinking about when you want to add value. Bathrooms and rooms. The most important are the basics. And then you can start scaling up by doing HMOs, doing conversions, extensions, and then eventually doing your own developments.
Fantastic. That's great. Really, really good. Thank you. Thank you, George, for that. I think that's it for today. Pretty much covered a lot of ground in this episode. So hopefully you follow us for the next one. Let you know soon what it will be about. But George, thank you for that, and see you soon.
Thank you, Noel, and thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.